same way it originated. Oh yeah, let me tell you something else from some recent doctrine.
Hello, my name is Jayton Irving. I live at Accompong Primary.
Greetings, this is HMP TV in Jamaica. We are in Accompong Town, also known as Marooned Town, live. Now, why am I come up here? Simple. The event that I did cover in Bull Bay, I come across a very dynamic speaker. His name was Daniyel Bozra. You're gonna see him. And there were some talks he was saying as a Maroon, which was very, very powerful and touched me in regards to some of the narratives he was addressing. So it was very important I had a conversation with him to come and find out more about what he was actually explaining about the Maroons and some of the narratives which are taught in regards to the Maroons and some of the research that he's done on his travels around the world and various different universities and studies as we do on our journey of learning. And he felt the best way for me to understand the Maroon people is to come up to Accompong Town, where everybody knows that's where the Maroons are. They call it Maroon Town. This is the place where Maroons live. So there is a structure, there is an order up here of how things run. Now, I haven't just come here to do a documentary. I haven't come here as a tourist to come and do a tour. I'm not interested in them kind of things. Anybody who knows my platform knows. But HMP TV is about helping my people, television, and how we can use this visual media to help our people. So right now there's some big old tourist. You're soon going to see him sitting up there. When he's finished, he's going to drop a little money in a box and go about his business. But being up here and looking at the story of the Maroons, and the Maroons are famous worldwide. You know, you can go to many black people and ask them about the Maroons and they'll know a little something. Wasn't they the people who rebelled against things? So in essence, Maroons are famous. But with fame usually comes some kind of financial gain with fame. Yes. But when you come up here, this is like coming up to my grandmother village, or it's very similar to when you go to Gambia and you go to, I think it's Jeffra, or the town where Kunta Kinte come from, and you see there's no money running there. Tourist board are taking all the money from people going there. People who know who've been to Gambia, you know what I'm talking about. You know the tears you have shed when you see how the people there are being treated financially. So it becomes our duty to find a way to support something as iconic as the Maroons, who do live as indigenous people up here in the hills of St. Elizabeth. So we are here with one of the Maroon Council member, who is going to give us a little bit of information in regards to the Maroons. But my platform is to find out more about the liberty, how people are living, what's the schooling like, what's the education like, what are the facilities like, and if they are in need of support, how best can we support something as iconic as the Maroons, who are known for the powerful rebellion against the colonial slave masters, not only the British, but the Spaniards or whomever came and was able to retain their independence, to the point where you got people all over the world writing about the Maroons. But are the Maroons receiving any benefit from their legacy or story which is out there? This is what we're going to explore, and if we can't draw some conclusions where support is needed, then this is what your job is to do. Your job is to then go and seek and assist to create the support. So first thing, we're going to ask the council member to state his name and his position in the council, and really what he does up here in Maroon Town from his position.
Yes, my name is Taki, and that's the Maroon name. But the British name, my name is Kenroy Carlie. And so I am a member of the Maroon Council, and my area is the area where I head up the land department. And so we work alongside the chief. As you know, this community, Accompong Town, named after Kodja brother. So it was 5 brothers and 1 sister. Well, the British give it Accompong, truly the right name. It is Accompong. That's Kodja brother. But the British always try to change not only the name, but many other things. But the right name is Accompong. And so it was 5 brother and 1 sister. And so yes, my area is I am the head of the land committee, and whatever land is all about, I am the man who they would come and speak to, and whether we're going to put up some building, or we want to do some work, or sometimes yes, because we don't sell land or such alike, we don't have really a title for the land, because based upon the treaty it said the land is for the born and the unborn as a Maroon. So many times person tend to have a issue over land, because they don't really and truly, there is not a marking or a title to say you own that area owned by you. And so the land is handed down from your grandparents, and so sometimes we have issues. So that's how I come in, and I will go and rectify the situation before it escalate into anything destructive. And so yes, that's my area.
But yes, okay, so you deal with the land and so on and so forth. So, in regards to this land within itself, how did this land come about? There is the story of the treaty which was signed. So tell us a little bit more about the war and how this treaty did come about.
Okay. So after a long war, almost 50 years, and the British maybe realize or notice every battle, every war, they are the one who is losing soldier. And so they have the last war was 1738, and so the following year 1739 they decided to seek out the Maroon and to sign a peace treaty with them. So we met at the Peace Cave, and we signed a treaty right at the Peace Cave 1739, almost 278 years ago. And so after signing the peace treaty, a part of the agreement that a portion of land must given to the Maroon, which is over 15,000 acres of land. And so, yes, we have land, which is an asset, but the thing now with the land, we kind of way up in the cockpit, way up into the mountain. And so, for us to work the soil, it's mainly manpower. It's because of the terrain. It's not so much where we can use machinery. And so you only can do so much when you're not using machinery. It's only like manpower. So therefore, we would like to grow crops in a large scale, but because we cannot, the machinery is very difficult for machinery to work in these areas. So we only can do just a little. And so, many of our needs, we barely, when I say barely, is a Jamaican talk. In other words, we hardly can take care of many of our personal responsibility and things that we would need to help to bring to the community. We cannot financially, we cannot afford it. And so this is why we would like for a person to really help out in this area. And I can mention some of these things.
Just before we actually get to that,
Yes.
Does Indigenous, when you're dealing with Indigenous and this land is yours,
Yes.
and Indigenous rights, does that mean that you get help from the government or not? Because from what I would gather from Indigenous, that once someone claims Indigenous rights, they become free of governmental help or governmental responsibility. How does it work between your relationship as the Maroons of today and the Jamaican government?
Right. So the Jamaican government always act as if we don't exist. don't care the amount of time we try to bring the attention to this, that we are here. We were the first set of people who fight against the British and get the freedom, and so we have these needs. They just ignore us and just leave us to fend by ourselves. And so times and times again, it's like, some good heart of their government will just drop something in the bucket, but it can't even cover even nothing much. And so we always have a needs in the village.
So the Jamaican government obviously is not acknowledging, and this is something we need to go and question, because if the Maroons fought for independence, then really when they say Jamaican independence was the date that they said, really that independence was before. Therefore, that would tend to make you think that the Jamaican state as it stands now is really an extension of the British state and still holding that war really between us and them. Yes. Because really, if you then get independence as a Jamaican state, you would then reach out for those who then and acknowledge them. Yes. Because like they acknowledge, they would say, well, Nanny of the Maroons is a national hero. That becomes quite questionable insofar as, but we're going to get Daniyel to explain that a little bit further. Yeah. So you're indigenous up here, you're totally independent up here, and you're left practically to fend for yourselves as the Maroons. Now, obviously, in the world, you can go online, you can find many different books authored by many different Maroons. You got many different books authored by many different people. The Maroons are known all over the world. There's been films put out. There was a recent film, Nanny of the Maroons. Let me ask you, any of these films or documentaries or books what are out there, how many of those were put together by people who are Maroons from here, and how much of that income which is generated comes back into Marooned Town?
Okay, good question. I can't remember, neither I can put my finger right now, and none of these persons, whether they were come in group or individual, we are now the village is benefiting from that person who might have write a book or put a documentary together and send back some incentive to the council, and because again it doesn't work where individual collect any benefit like that. Once the thing done, a documentary done towards the community, then certainly it have to be where is the council who receive that funding, and then get it into the different areas where it really needed. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So as you can see, there is an issue up here, because the Maroons are famous worldwide. You can speak to many different black people across the diaspora, speak about the Maroons, and people be able to tell you and talk about the war. And they've done this through research. They've done this through reading books. There are books being authored by various different people, but none of that money is making its way back to Marooned Town. Nothing is coming back to the official council. Yes. Okay, and that's a very important thing, because it means, and we're going to try and get some shots, as much as we can, of the liberty up here, how people are living. How people eat, real life, and understand this is not just here. This is across the world where people are making money out of other people's stories and not paying a donation towards. So, this is something we're going to reach out. The whole point of what we're going to try and do here, and I had to come up here and explain this. I never just come up here with camera and start recording. I had to explain exactly why I'm here, exactly what I want to do. I said I don't want to do the tour. I'm not a tourist. In regards to donation, that's a problem. When I go back down into town, I know where Daniyel is. Both can drop something. That's not a problem, and I would do that from the heart anyway, tour or no tour. The point is the long term, how we can assist, because this is iconic. Seriously iconic. To anyone Jamaican born, this is iconic. Now, is there a difference between Maroons and Jamaicans, or is that in the mind of the people?
Yes, it's a difference, because again, we are a self-governed people. We we don't pay any land tax, and so indifference, not with looks, but the day-to-day runnings and the system that govern us is that what make us different. Yes.
And do you, obviously you have issues with the Jamaican government in regards to lack of help, but I suppose that comes with being indigenous, it becomes part and parcel. In the UK, if someone says, well look, I don't want to get a birth certificate for my child because I don't see why I should, the minute I have a birth certificate, I'm really signing my children over to the state. I don't want to do that, when the state has a right to turn around and say, okay, well if you're not going to give us control over you, then you can't use any of our things. That means you can't go to our hospitals, you can't go to our doctors, you can't use our dentists, you can't use anything which is registered unto us. You have to have your own money and go privately, and if you can't do that, you're in problem. So I understand the issue of when you claim indigenous rights, but my problem is the Jamaican government.
Yes. All right. So yes, the first question, yes, as you asked, yes, we have issue with the government outside of Accompong Town. We have to stand up and defend ourselves by not having them coming to mind our cockpit, because there this big development from the I forgot their name now, but what they do is to mine land, and so we have to defend ourselves by stand up and said no, the cockpit is our and it should not molested, because our watershed is coming from in the cockpit. There's a lot of wildlife is there, and so we see where there is a lot of things would go wrong, and so we have to defend it. And yes, you mentioned yes, we somewhat we have to depend on certain things with them, like if we are doing our we want to do a passport, then there are certain things that we have to do where they're concerned. We have to mention their state or the Jamaican state in it, and also because we don't truly have a hospital where when a child born they fully register here, then so almost all of those things have to done outside of the village.
So my question would be to you right now, with the situation where things are at this present moment, what would be, if you had a wish list of 5 things which would benefit the community, not just for now, but for future development, for future benefits of the children growing up within the community and the Maroon community as a whole, what would be your 5 things on a wish list what this community would require and may need assistance to develop?
Right. So firstly, I was looking on our water system for our domestic use at the home, and we have our own spring, and the thing about it, whenever time we have the dry season, we tend to have problem with water, and so we have to carry the water from almost 2 to 3 miles on bucket on our head. We do a study on that system, on our water system, and come realize that all we need is just like 5 million Jamaican dollars. And as I was saying, that you can just work out that in US, and so that would help us to have water, proper use of water in the homes, because right now we don't have any tap water at the home. We only have to depend on the rainfall. The other issue we have also, as a farming community, we all are farmer here, and we don't have proper farm road to take our produce to the nearest point, so that the businessman in Kingston, when he come to purchase our dasheen, which is our main crop, it's fine, some crop spoil in the field, and when crop spoil, then really that farmer lose, and it tend to bring sometimes a discouragement to that farmer, and so forth. And so we definitely would need help around the area of doing our farm road. Um, Again, looking also and the you know, in the area where sometimes, because it is a historical community, we have visitors come to the community, tourists come to the community, and so maybe they would want to spend an extra dollar with the villager, but when they realize they're out of cash, no, the closest bank to us is like 30 miles from the village, and so we tend to always, instead of gain, we lose. And so we would want a proper banking system or a bank in the village where ATM machine, a bank can, you know, it can help out around that area. And also, again, I mentioned the school bus, a school bus for the village, because the two school in the village is a kindergarten and all age. But what we don't have here is high school. So the children now passing to go to high school, they have to go out of the village where it could be all the way up to 25 miles out of the village. Now it costs these parents to send these child or children down to the to high school, and as I was saying, for the month, for one, it could cost him up to 25,000, along with bus fare, lunch money, and addition stuff that the school may ask for. Now, these parents, knowing that they are farmer, find it hard sometimes with their crops. These children or child may have to drop out of high school, and so they don't get the proper education that they're supposed to get. And so, you know, having a school bus would be a big difference for the villager. Again, as I said, we it's not like we just going around begging, but you know what we really depend on is farming. And again, because we don't use machinery on our land because of the terrain, it's very difficult. We cannot go on a wide scale putting in crops so that we can achieve that amount of incentive to purchase the things, because looking on one machinery to plow land could cost millions of dollars. We don't even see that we don't even come across that in 50 years. that kind of money at no time at all. As an average farmer, for the year, I may just for the whole year doing crops, it's maybe like 100,000, which is in US, 100,000 Jamaican dollars in US. You could just do the maths and see, oh, it's just like nothing you're achieving there. Yeah.
Wow. So that is an issue right there. And, you know, just the basic things. And this is not just here in Jamaica. If you look across the world at, you know, small communities, you'll find it's some very basic things which are required for these communities to function. Just a function at a level where people can have a certain level of liberty. Something where you take for granted to go and draw water from a tap is something here. And, you know, you said about 30 million, 50 million Jamaican.
Yeah.
You said about 50 million Jamaican for the system, the pumping system to draw the water. Yeah, if you really look at that, how much people spend raving on the weekend in London alone, I'm sure that money is spent.
Yeah.
If we said to everybody in London, don't rave for one weekend, that same money you would spend, we send it up to Marooned Town, they could most probably buy a pump. It's that simple. But the thing is, you won't do it. You won't do it. Even here, when I'm up here having this interview, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, why am I doing this? Because you're just not going to do it. You're going to look nice, oh, that's very interesting, and then go about your everyday life. When there's people up here right now who could benefit, who need that assistance right now for the simple basic things. Yeah. And, you know, what makes it even more is it's the Maroons that you read about in the books, the Maroons where you say, yeah, the Maroons were the first ones to fight against But now they say, well, we need some help in some basic things. Now where's the help?
Right.
Where's the money where the mouth is? Where is that aspect of donating something? Donating £100. You might, you get a wage and say, no, I'm going to make a sacrifice this week. For those who can, mind you. And say, I'm going to put £100 aside in that fund towards HMP TV to send out to the council out there to purchase. And we've had a conversation, in not just a case of purchase, but we would actually be able to come out here and document and see where this money is spent. To make sure the money,
Yes.
we don't want to see the elder here with a big
Right.
car outside him yard,
Yeah.
and we come back and find him have a swimming pool. You get me? And he might live big.
Luxury.
Yeah.
Right.
And this is not that environment. Is this seen as a very close knit community in regards to the love and respect for one another in regards to crime up here? How it stay?
All right. So, good question. Crime is like, I would say 100% almost. And notice I said almost. Because after the war, which we had 278 years, we end up have 2 murder after the war. And so we don't consider it again anymore 100% crime free because we truly, but when you look at it, 278 years, really and truly, you could still give us a hands up. Yes. So it's not, the crime here is not bad. In other words, we still go to our farm and leave our house door open, our window open, our clothes, and everything is still intact. We don't, you can walk any time of the day or any time of the night freely around the village. No one will attack you or rob you. And so our issue that we had at times is where persons would have a disagreement, a quarreling, and mainly that rectify in the council by mediator. Yes.
Original living, no crime. Imagine a community up here where there's no crime. This is HMP TV in Accompong Town up in the hills of St. Elizabeth, Jamaica. Now, we found out some of the needs. It's very important we understand the power that we have in the diaspora to change people's lives. If you see European media, they do this all the time. They usually draw for the children or draw for some hungry belly looking African children with bloated bellies and put it on TV and say your help and your donation, give us £3, and that £3, maybe 10 pence makes its way to where it should belong. The rest of it end up in somebody's pocket. And as many of you who are watching this right now or who are putting money in these charities, when you can come to something homegrown right here, right now, real people who you can communicate with, you can talk with, you can, people up here have phone, they can communicate with and have conversation with and find out what's going on. Because we definitely will be keeping the link here on HMP TV and seeing what we can do and try to raise funds. And I'm speaking predominantly to many of the black organizations working in the community, and I know funds is tight and we're trying to find funds for running youth projects and after school clubs, since the government started locking down many of the things, what are sending many of the children in the UK a little mad. But to take a little bit more and give outside of your environment to a place where maybe you may need to come and retreat one day. You might find your way back home to Jamaica or anywhere in the Caribbean and find a place, because a question would be asked, maybe this is a question what would be asked.
Yes.
Well, you won the war, or you got the treaty all them years ago, you now got Jamaicans got its independence, why don't you just become part of Jamaica? Then you'd have no problem. You can go and work and do, and they will give you money because you're part of it. You're another parish. Why don't you just do that? That's a question where people might ask.
So you want to answer? All right. So okay. So that would definitely be a violation of our ancestors, because that would definitely be a disrespect to our ancestors, and so we don't want to change anything, and that's why we from all these years we tend to keep everything same way and maintain everything just like that.
Very simple answer. And it's that respect of the ancestors, and that's what we've got to look at as a people, through what we've endured as a people, what our ancestors went through, so we're here today. And many of us have forgotten what our ancestors have gone through because we've accepted, but slavery is a thing of the past. We're okay now. You can get a job, get a plasma TV, watch little television, everything's blessed, drive little car, you're all right. But if you look what our ancestors were fighting for, that was not their vision for us to become, to have self-autonomy. And self-autonomy or self-worth or self-governorship,
self-confidence,
is extremely important, and we don't have that now. We're subject to all kind of laws and violations of our human rights through law. And this is something which we're going to discuss a little bit more with Daniyel Bozra, who has studied these implications of law on his travels around the world. So we're going to look into that even more so. So, to wrap up where we are now, and I'm just going to do a quick summary. Obviously, you have this land that you have up here. Yes. It is your land to do what you see fit with. Yes. You have a community up here of people who are working together, living off the land, functioning without no crime. Yes. And you have what you would call a perfect society. Many people in the conscious community are long for something like that, to be able to have their own land, to be able to be free, to be autonomous, to be able to farm land which isn't destroyed by pesticides, and eat food which is grown and live off the land. Many of the people, well, it exists. It's here right now. Yeah. You could come and become a benefit. Let me ask you something. Are people welcome? Say you had returnees from the diaspora decided, look, I want to go back home. I don't want to go back to Jamaica and live in Kingston and I would like to maybe go and live up in Marooned Town and live there. Are people allowed to come in? And if they are, what kind of, obviously there's laws what govern them, but how does it work?
Okay, again, very complicated, because we don't sell the land, and so therefore if a non-Maroon want to come to the village to live, well, if the first thing we'll do is to do a check on that person to see if he is a person who doesn't fit as con to our laws, maybe, because if you is a person who commit crime, then certainly we won't accept you in the community. But okay, so again the question is, who can what is the requirement of a one want to come to the village to live? We would lease you. We would lease you some land, and then you would pay the lease. But upon leaving the community, then you would not take anything, because it would be a part of the agreement. So whatever structure would go to the council, and so that's the way we go about it. But better yet, say for instance you is a male and you get married to a female in the village, then automatically now you becomes a owner of that female land, and it is vice versa. Same way for the male. So it goes for the male and the female. Mm-hmm. And so that's how you go about owning land in the community. Right.
But can someone come in, get married, own land, and then try, because some people say, well, let's marry the woman, we get a piece of land, and then, or a woman might come in and find a man, and then when she get up on a title, but no title, but get rights to the land, and then decide to just,
right,
we don't want her no more, we don't want him no more, but how would that work? Because obviously you must have some stringent checks to make sure people can't grab land grab.
Right. So it doesn't matter if you get married today and then you just did want to work some trick or something. Mm-hmm. The law, we have laws that govern the land, and so we whenever time we find you, then we have a point where we carry you out of the village, and then you cannot return back. we will take you out of the village, put you out.
This is real African things. This shows you the long history of African tradition, which is up here, because that's the same way we lived as people. You know, we didn't put people in a prison. We just say go live somewhere else.
Yeah.
This is not for you.
No, we don't have I should tell you this too, as he mentioned, we don't have a prison system here. So you know, if you should violate, then we put you out of the village, and that's, you know, coming from way back, because even some of our songs, you know, of the Maroons, these things mentioned in the song, and so our folks know it very well, because we mention it also in the song, such as this one say, "Miwigweya fiseka demo," and what we are speaking here now is plain patois, because when you come to the village, you won't hear it's patois and English mixed together. And so in this song is one of the Karamanti song also, "Miwigweya fiseka demo," because what they're saying, if it is sheep, this man was saying, if it is sheep last, them say I'm me. If it is goat last, they say me. So you cannot stay in the village if you are being accused of so many things. You have to go, and that's the running of the village.
That's a running of the village, and that's the best way to deal with things. If you don't like how we live here, then go live somewhere else. It's a simple thing. But you have the opportunity, because there's many people in the UK are fed up with them called Babylon, and they wanna come out, they wanna emigrate, they wanna go back home. Sometimes you come back to somewhere where it's really not much different from where you just come from, with tax and bills and all them kind of thing there. And some people just want to get a piece of land and live, live off the land and live with people, just want to live in harmony off the land. And so many people want that. But it's knowing that environment exists. It is there. I'm not telling everybody if you run go leave England and come up here and come bring your wicked ways up into Marooned Town. We're not saying that. But to support these type of, for want of a better word, paradises. To support these type of paradises, you can do that, and create environments where, if in the future, if you was ready to live by the laws of the people, you could come, because you've helped donate and build and create an environment which is conducive. Or you come with your qualifications, you come with your skills. Don't come with just too long hand. What can you bring yourself to the community to assist? You might decide, they might say, we don't really want you to live up here, but you can help us. You can go find a little yard not too far, or you just might, you understand, there's different ways to support, but it's very, very important that we look to support the Maroons who are living up here. They're real people, real lives, real pressure. And mostly no different from pressure that your grandmother might have living where she might be in Mandeville or Ochi or Kingston, or my grandmother up at Junipen. But the big difference is this is an indigenous land. They are separate, and they fought for that, and they're honouring the ways of their ancestors. And for those who are into respecting their ancestors, then the fact that this community lives this way is something we should begin to support. So
and I want to mention this also, that 85% of what we eat is what we grow here in the village. And so again, I mentioned a farming community. So we there's a different variety of crops that we grow. And so even just right now, you have an experience where the little boy, he come to purchase fish, but I just give him 2 hands of banana. And so we share, certain things. You maybe have to purchase certain things, but there are certain things I would give free. Now in Kingston, they would sell you both the fish and the banana. No, I didn't sell the banana. I give the banana to him to take back to his mom, because the mom asked to ask me for some green banana to cook. So I run my little store here. By purchase fish in town, bring back to the village, and so they would come and they would buy fish or chicken meat from me, but I give him the banana free, because that grows in the village, and so we share food like those amongst each other. You don't have to buy banana if you're going to cook right now in the village, or a piece of yam. So we have that kind of liberty amongst us.
And in regards to health issues, what is it like for health up here? Because people are dying hard. in Western countries through diabetes and all kind of disease. What's the maroon health issue and
issue here? Okay, I would say, you know, it is not a big issue for us because, you know, again, as I mentioned before, 85% of what we eat is what we grow, and so we always is like organic food we eat and fresh food from the farm, and herbs. We don't go quickly like to the pharmacy to go and buy pharmaceuticals. We learn from our grandparents the different herbs that we should use, and so we continue to use these different herbs.
But I think we covered like the gist of, you know, what we have up here and the beauty of the liberty up here. And once again, I mean, I always have to stress this. This is the Maroon community. This is Accompong Town. Yeah,
Marooned Town.
Or Marooned Town. That's what people know it as Marooned Town. This is where the treaty, or not far from here, is where the treaty was. We're gonna go around and when the rain stops, because we're in rainy season right now, but people need the water. Yeah. So we're gonna go and get a few shots, just so you can see a little bit to know that we're really up there and not in the grandmother village somewhere, and this is some random fella. Yeah. But it's very important we look to try and support what's going on up here. And I see. So I was going to say, is there any last words you would like to say to the people who are watching this here right now?
Yes, we are always more than happy to have visitor people come into the village. Reason be, again, it helps us to achieve a little more incentive to the village, where we can take care a lot of our demands, because there is some other things that I did not get to mention in the earlier, such as we have to take care of many things through council, such as a mother find it difficult to send his or her child to school, then the council would have to chip in there and help out. A dead is in the family, then certainly we would have to also give an incentive to that relative to take care. But not everyone, because some person get to go abroad, because again this community suffer from what we call a brain drain. And so when you get a proper education, certainly you don't want to stay here in the village. You would want to go in Kingston or abroad to get a proper job. And so persons had a lot of family all over, so those family tend to get back some remittance from abroad, and so those family now, they wouldn't definitely get a certain benefit from the system we have here, because they can take care of by just looking on how what they earn or what they have. We know that you don't really in need. So so it's not about the greed, it is about the need. And so the need would really go to the person who really have a need. And so the council, whenever time visitor come and they pay a fee to the I give a donation, it go right into the area where there's a need. And so there's a lot of needs that would take care of through that. Yes.
Okay, this is HMP TV. You know, we're gonna wrap it up right now. I'd like to thank our hosts for allowing us to be here today. I'm going to take some pictures of the neighborhood, and we're going to try and speak to some of the other members of the community, and, you know, ask what their needs are and what life is like living up here. But between now and then, we'd like to thank you for watching what we're doing, and we're asking you once again, you know, I'm going to be on the case regular anyway, but we'd ask you, you know, we're gonna go into the community and try and find initiatives to how we can generate some money and maybe send money up here, so at least they can achieve at least one of their goals, whether it be the school van for the children, or a pot to send X amount of children to school, or the water. The water is a serious thing because to walk 3 miles with water upon your head, you get me, in 2017 is not the lick, especially when the rest of Jamaica seem to have water running out of tap, but obviously because of the status up here, it's not there.
Or the farm road.
Yeah, or the farm road so farm can come. But, you know, I think we should look to seek to achieve one of those goals within our community to help, so we can at least say we achieved this. HMPTV is definitely going to be pushing in that direction in some form or fashion with this. You know, I don't like to come to a place under false pretenses just to get information. It's about going there and doing the work. You know, we don't offer people promises because I can't make you do anything, but we can at least put the thought in your mind and create the vehicle for it to be able to be done. But we'll be working alongside the council up here to see if we can generate something and start changing some people's lives up here in the name of the Famara Foundation. We're going to give you more information about in regards to that shortly. With that, I'd like to say peace, thank you, and take care of yourself. Peace. We're out of here.
I would like a school bus up here to take to school.
From long time way, yeah. Amen, amen, amen. Oh yes, it comes from Kenny. Tell it to the congregation. Away, away. I must everywhere you go, they say amen. Yeah, they say a little prayer, then put it at the end. But when you ask them where it originated, oh yeah, they will tell you something else from some recent doctrine.